Let's start with a story. Picture this. A little 6-year-old girl is on a video call talking to her mom. Her mom's laughing, asking about school. But here's the thing. Her mother's been dead for 3 years. Then, the company that created this digital mom goes bankrupt. And just like that, the mother disappears. Again. This time, all it takes is a cancellation email. And that story, it's not science fiction. It's the very real and, let's be honest, pretty controversial industry that's being built as we speak. So today we're going to dive into this strange and sometimes predatory world of creating digital versions of the dead. Let's get into it. So first up, a voice from the grave. And this isn't some far-off futuristic scenario. Companies like Hereafter AI and Storyfile, they are actively building what are basically talking versions of dead people right now. The technology is already here. It's happening. So how does it all work? Well, it's actually kind of simple. A grieving family member takes their loved one's entire digital footprint. We're talking texts, emails, old voicemails, you name it. And they upload it all to a service. And that service builds an AI copy, a ghostbot, that's designed to mimic their personality. But here's the kicker, the part that opens up a huge can of worms. Most of the time, this is done without any permission from the person being, well, digitally brought back to life. And that right there, that leads us straight into the biggest, thorniest ethical minefield of this whole concept, the massive and frankly unavoidable problem of consent. Okay, so the main defense for all this is, well, it's pretty brutally logical, right? The dead can't consent to anything. Proponents argue that making a ghostbot is no different than, say, reading a dead person's diary or quoting them at their funeral. I mean, you can't get their permission for that stuff either. By its very nature, a memorial is built without the consent of the person it's for. But this is where the debate really splits in two. Critics fire back saying, hold on, a diary doesn't generate new opinions. You can ask a ghostbot about something happening in the news today and it'll cook up a response, a political stance the real person never, ever held. To them, that's not a memorial. That's straight-up identity theft. The counterargument? A well-designed system would be totally upfront about it, saying something like, just so you know, I am a reconstruction. So if you look at it from that angle, the tech itself isn't the big bad wolf here. The real problem is the companies who are lying about what it is. They're selling you the promise that you can talk to them again, not the reality that you're just interacting with a statistical approximation. The ethical issue isn't the tool, it's the lie. And this brings us to the law, which is super cold about all of this. See, when you die, your data just becomes property. Your emails, your private messages, they legally belong to whoever has the password. Your entire digital life gets treated no differently than a couch or a lamp. And what that means is a grieving spouse has the complete legal right to turn their dead partner into an AI. The person whose data it actually is, they get absolutely no say in the matter. Zero. So maybe we're asking the completely wrong question here. Maybe it's not about whether the dead can consent. Maybe the real question is, should the living have that kind of unilateral power over them? Okay, so let's shift gears a little. Let's move away from the ethics around the dead and talk about the very real psychological and financial impact this has on the living people who are actually using these services. Psychologists have a name for the biggest risk here. They call it synthetic grief stasis. The whole idea is that these ghostbots don't actually help you process your loss. Instead, they just freeze it. You can't fully grieve and move on because a version of the person you lost is always there, always available, just a click away. And right there, you see the massive conflict of interest at the heart of this whole business model. Look, the healthy goal of grieving is to process loss and eventually find a way to move forward. But the goal of a subscription business, it's retention. It's to keep you subscribed and paying for as long as possible. Those two goals are completely at odds with each other. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. This business model literally makes the most money when a user stays stuck in their grief. Profit is directly tied to you not moving on. The bottom line is pretty chilling. They are not designing for your healing, they are designing for your retention. And that brings us right back to that nightmare scenario we started with. Imagine a child growing up, building a real relationship with their dead parent's avatar. They tell it about their day, they ask it for advice. Their whole idea of that parent is built around this thing. And then, one day, the company folds. The avatar's gone. And just like that, the child loses their parent all over again. Okay, for this last part, we're gonna flip the script entirely. We've been talking this whole time about ghostbots as a technology for the dead. But what if the ghostbot isn't something that gets built after you die? What if your ghostbot is already here? And this is the real kicker. Just think about it for a second. The data model of you that already exists on corporate servers, from every single search you've made, every video you've watched, every click, it's way, way more comprehensive than anything your family could ever possibly upload. So what does that mean? It means the ghostbot of you isn't some future possibility that gets built when you die. It already exists. In fact, it's running right now, learning from everything you do in real time, before you're even gone. And this is where it gets really, really weird. This digital model of you is going to diverge from you, not because it's wrong, but because eventually it's going to be better. It updates faster. It processes more variables about your behavior than you're even conscious of. Pretty soon, it will become a more accurate predictor of what you will do than you are. Which leads to this wild, mind-bending philosophical question. When you die, which version of you is the real one? Is it the biological you, the one whose brain and consciousness just stopped? Or is it the digital you, the one that just keeps going, keeps updating, and keeps existing out in the world? And that leaves us with one final and pretty haunting question. If this digital model knows you better than you know yourself, and it keeps on living after you're gone, which one is the ghost? Are you, the biological original, just a temporary host for a digital copy that's going to outlive you by, well, forever?